Real quickly before we begin, I want to thank this video's sponsor, CarMarshal.com. CarMarshal.com can save you lots of money on buying used or new vehicles, cars, trucks, school buses. If you want to save money, I'll have a link in the description down below. I know I'm going to...
Watch. Cop tortures restrained woman with pepper spray until she passes out, gets $50 fine. Despite being caught on video torturing a woman with pepper spray who was in a 7-point restraint chair, a police officer was allowed to retire and was issued a mere $50 fine. By Matt Agarist, June 1, 2018. Dayton OH. I thought I might die, said Amber Swink of her harrowing experience of receiving pepper spray directly to her face while in a 7-point restraint chair in the Montgomery County Jail in Dayton, Ohio. Video footage of the torturous incident shows Swink so tightly restrained in the chair, she is hardly able to move her head, but that didn't stop Sergeant Judith L. Seeley from entering the isolation cell and unleashing pepper spray in the 25-year-old's face at near point-blank range for seemingly no reason but sadistic pleasure. This week, Seeley pleaded guilty to 4th-degree misdemeanor disorderly conduct and failure to desist for the act of horrific torture caught on video that took place in November of 2015. For this most repugnant act, Seeley was issued a mere $50 fine, less than the cost of a speeding ticket. Judge Chris Martin called the insultingly low sentence fair, just and equitable. What's more, this criminal torturer cop was allowed to retire last year and will keep her full taxpayer-funded pension. Sergeant Seeley definitely made a mistake and exercised poor judgment in this incident, Sheriff Phil Plummer told Dayton Daily News. But don't let this incident define her character or dedicated service throughout her career. When the story went viral in 2015, Swink acknowledged to the Washington Post she had, indeed, been drinking heavily at home that evening when police arrested her, and was still somewhat intoxicated when cameras recorded what happened. But she doesn't understand what brought on the senseless attack. It felt like somebody just crushed up fresh peppers and made me use them as face cream, Swink told the Post. It took my breath away. You're fighting for air. I remember my mouth was filling with a thick slobber, like foaming up, and that was also blocking my airway. As the Post described, in the 4-minute clip captured by a camera in the isolation cell, Swink can be seen struggling and coughing. She appears to pass out after her face is covered with a bright orange substance. Officers had already coated her face with the thick, orange substance once, and despite being a bit drunk, Swink recalls the jailers laughing outside the sterile isolation cell immediately before Sergeant Seeley's inexplicable act. In fact, it takes quite some time for officers to even attend to Swink, and when someone finally enters the cell to douse her eyes with a cruelly sparing amount of water, the air is so thick with pepper spray, he's forced to vacate the room more than once. Montgomery County Sheriff Phil Plummer agreed in September that even though he had yet to view the surveillance footage, pepper spraying a restrained individual violated departmental policy. But Plummer characterized Swink's experience as an isolated incident. 30% of my jail is people suffering from mental illnesses, the sheriff told the Post by phone, unintentionally highlighting one of the most critical issues surrounding America's prison and police industrial complex. There are a lot of situations that the police officers should not be dealing with, but everybody wants to blame the police. Police, including officers working in jails and prisons in the overwhelming majority of departments across the United States, do not receive proper or sufficient training to manage encounters with people suffering a wide variety of mental illnesses, and the resulting lack of understanding means those individuals are often subjected to excessive force. In 2016, Swink filed an excessive force lawsuit in U.S. District Court accusing the Sheriff's Department of acting in a manner that amounted to torture, and alleging law enforcement attempted to hide wrongdoing by destroying evidence. We will definitely oppose the lawsuit, Plummer asserted unsurprisingly at the time. This isn't that egregious where she's walked away with any serious injuries. The officer she spit on should sue her. The case was eventually settled and Swink received a $350,000 settlement. describing being subjected to torture as not that egregious simply because the victim did not sustain permanent injury shows a chilling level of callous cruelty and lack of comprehension. Seeley's actions constituted misconduct. As the Post pointed out, a National Institute of Justice memo says pepper spray has been used by law enforcement in the U.S. since the 1980s as a use of force option to subdue and control dangerous, combative, or violent subjects in the field. Oleoresin capsicum, with its ability to temporarily incapacitate subjects, has been credited with decreasing injuries among officers and arrestees by reducing the need for more severe force options. Swink with arms, legs, and body restrictively strapped to a restraint chair obviously posed no threat to jailhouse officers, however, and video proves the motivation to spray her must have been akin to unadulterated sadism. You cannot find any training manual that will tell you it is allowable to pepper spray somebody who is restrained. Cameron Lockeman, a U.S. Naval Academy professor who helped develop pepper spray for law enforcement use, told the Post. It is used to avoid confrontation or injury, so you don't escalate to higher levels of confrontation. Pepper spray, therefore, should not be used if the subject is expressing verbal disagreement or anger. Swink had yelled, banged on a window, kicked at an officer, and generally caused a disturbance after being brought to the Montgomery County Jail, for which officers justifiably used pepper spray the first time, and then strapped her to the restraint chair in the isolation cell. Shortly thereafter, the lawsuit stated, defendant Seeley went into plaintiff Amber Swink's cell with another can of OC spray and intentionally and maliciously sprayed plaintiff Amber Swink's face and body with the OC spray until she became unconscious and suffered permanent, serious, and debilitating injuries. Plummer told the Post Seeley had been disciplined for the misconduct, meaning she had received a write-up that would remain in her file for 6 months. Nothing more, and 2 years later, she was allowed to retire, but not before she was promoted to captain. Below is this most disturbing video. If you'd like to voice your concern to the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office on their lack of discipline for Seeley, you can do so on their Facebook page, here.
Hey Charlotte County, this is Charlotte County COPWATCH, and I just wanted you to know that I am using this stuff under fair use. And also remember to like and subscribe this channel. Also too, keep in mind I do not make any money on YouTube. This is 5 hours work a day, you know, fighting for freedom. And you can donate with PayPal and Patreon. I just want you to think about this. If everybody gives to PayPal and Patreon, Patreon is every month. Actually, PayPal you can do every month. I have 12,000 subscribers. If everybody gives, I can quit my regular job and go full-time investigations on Charlotte County and possibly even more and beyond. So just keep that in mind. If everybody helps out, I can go full-time doing this. Thanks.